door panel off the front. It's pretty much the same way. It looks like you're going to have these two bolts, or it's on the bottom. That is a 7mm. I've heard some people saying it's a 6, but for some reason on mine it is a 7mm. You're also going to have two screws behind this plate, which I use a flathead screwdriver to remove the plate. It has just some little tabs underneath there, and also going to have to remove this little panel for your window and door lock, and also the wood grain right here. This little plastic wood grain panel, gonna have to remove that also. It's best to remove this plastic panel before you remove the plastic piece that's holding your window and your door lock. So let's get started. Oh, there's also one more screw, which is a Phillips head, right in here. So let me go ahead and get this door off, and then we'll take a look at that speaker setup just to see exactly how it's set up in correlation to the rear. Okay, with the front door, it came off just about the same way. There was a little bit of a hang up, and that is up here on this little A pillar here. You have two little tabs. One of them needs to be popped out, and the other one just kind of comes up when you pull the door panel up. So just one tab that needs to be popped out before you can pull the door panel up. Also, another difference is the speaker is different. It's still a 4x6, but it looks like it has like a pretty much like an integrated, that's the 5 1/4 with a tweeter onto it. I'm not sure if this is a premium sound vehicle or not. I do know that it does have a factory amplifier, but I don't see anything that says Bose or Infinity or any of the other big names that you usually see on the radio that says it is a premium sound system. Although it did sound pretty good, I just want to upgrade it just because somebody made me a good deal on a set of Focal 6.5 speakers. So let's get started. Looks like I am gonna have to make another bracket or plate to fit inside this recess. It looks the same as the rear. If this is your first time watching my video on this, you may want to refer to my video on the rear speakers, and it'll give you more information about the adapter plate and fitting in what I'm doing as far as making the plate itself to fit inside of here. I may do some more measurements just to see if maybe I might be able to get my tweeter in the same spot, which I doubt because I'm going to a 6.5, which is a bigger speaker per se, and the tweeter is also bigger than that also. So let me do some mocking up and see what I can come up with, and I'll show you here just in a second. After removing the speaker, you can see the differences in between the front speaker and the rear speaker. One noticeable difference right off is that you can see the two speaker design, which is I'm going to guess that's the size of a 5 1/4, and the tweeter versus just the full 4x6 or 5x7. The next noticeable difference is turn them over, and you can see that it's pretty much in an enclosure. You can see it's pretty much in an enclosure by itself. I'm sorry about that. I got a text message. Seems to be, it's all ABS plastic. Has a good weight to it also. Definitely weighs more than the front speaker itself. So definitely a lot more design and quality, I might say. I'm not sure about that, but I would say, you may expect more quality out of a speaker that's made like this than one of your rear speakers in the back. Also, another thing I noticed is on the front door, the rear speaker was all open, whereas this has this little plastic brace. It looks like that was to keep the keep that little speaker pod from moving. So with that being said, with my modifications, I may end up having to cut a little bit of this out. Hopefully not, but possibly so. But if so, just get a Dremel tool and do what you need to do. It's all plastic also, so. All right, let's get to it. Go make my brackets and we'll go from there. All right, here are the focals that are going in the front. As you can see, has the tweeter that's separate from the speaker itself. That's what it looks like. As you can see, this is the difference between the front speaker. Well, that's not the front speaker, this is the rear speaker, but you can see they're the same size. You can see the difference in size from the 6.5 to the 4x6. And this is something I just did and found out. I know a 6.5 is bigger than the 5x7, obviously, but in this case, this 6.5 is a lot bigger than the rear 6.5, and it may be the same diameter wise, but as far as the speaker frame or casing goes, it's a bigger speaker, and a lot bigger speaker than I'm able to compensate with my bracket. So what I'm going to have to do is go a different way with this, and let me go up here and show you what I'm going to end up having to do. It's a little different from the first switch hands here. Alright, the first video I did, I put the bracket inside of this lip right here, and it was able to hold that speaker pretty much perfectly. On this one, this is way bigger than that lip. It overhangs down here and it overhangs up top, so there's no way for me to keep that 5x7 bracket together by doing it the way I did on the rear. So get this down without damaging it. With that being said, it looks like Ford was so nice to give us 4 more holes up here. I'm guessing they went another route with the speaker and decided to do something totally different and put this one on the inside, but this is 4 usable holes. So what I'm gonna do is just make my bracket, instead of making it to fit in here, make it big enough to fit on the outside of here. This speaker still has a low enough profile to where that cone is not level with the speaker itself, so I won't have to worry about that cone coming all the way out and damaging itself on the speaker grill that's inside of the door. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind about that. Another thing you want to keep in mind is this rubber surround, how much it sticks out, and which is minimal. And I'm going to have some foam around here to help with the protection in that also. So I think that should do fairly well with this bracket I'm thinking about making here. So also with that 6.5 in that spot, that tweeter is so big, the tweeter's not going to fit right beside it, so I'm probably going to end up having to find another spot to put that tweeter, which is going to probably be kind of tricky. It's kind of limited on spots you can put that thing that's going to be in a good spot. So I'm thinking something up here on this A pillar, but that may work on this side. But on the driver's side, I have an adjustment for my mirrors right here, so may not work on that side. So I'm gonna have to try to find a place that I can mount both of them. I'm kind of a little anal retentive on that kind of thing, whereas I'm probably gonna want them both in pretty close to the same spot, if that's doable. Let me look around on the other side to see, and I'll keep you posted. Okay, now we come over to the front door, and you can see what I'm talking about. This is actually the passenger side door panel, and this is the driver's side door panel. As you can see on this A-pillar, I have the mirror adjustment, like I stated before, and the tweeter is about this big, exactly this big. So I'm going to have a spot that can fit, you know, this without having too much overhang on the edges and different places like that. This spot would be okay, but it has too much of an overhang on this side and this side for me. So what I'm finding out, that's going to be a good place to have them both in a similar location, is to mount this about right here. The actual tweeter itself sits in a little pod that you can angle it to wherever you are, or wherever you want the sound to be broadcast. So I'm probably going to sit them here and angle it towards me on the driver's side door, and on the passenger side door, which is going to be basically the same spot right here. Another thing you want to keep in mind is what's behind this spot, and let me show you on this door. This is what the back of it looks like, and as you can see, this is about the spot where I was saying I want to put it on this door, and right here looks fine. I don't think it's going to stick out farther than these push brackets or L brackets, so you call it, because these go in the door and slide down. This is what's actually catching the door itself when it slides down. So there is a pretty good gap in between there, and that's plenty enough space for the tweeter to fit down into, as long as that's that same gap that's right here. So got the tweeter right here. Let's see what we can come up with. Excuse the shakiness. Alright, that's the pod. It's going to be up closer to the door, but I can squeeze it together and it gets under there with no problem. So I don't think I'm going to have a problem putting that tweeter right there. I think that'll be a good spot. As you can see, this panel is pretty well insulated, and so it should do those speakers pretty good with that sound dampening material here to keep down road noise and vibrations, but it also acts as a sound insulator to keep sound that's on the inside also. And I don't know if you were paying attention, but inside the regular door itself over there, it has a foam protection, or I'm going to say sound dampening foam pad that's against the door that feels pretty well also, and I think it's going to also do a pretty good job on keeping these speakers sounding great. So let me get started on speaker template, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Alright, these are the templates that I made for the front speakers. As you can see, they're different from the ones I made for the rear. First, these are more square with the 6.5 cut out. Fairly simple to make. I think the measurements I used was a 10-inch long by 7 3/4 wide. So 10 inches long, 7 3/4 wide, and I just kind of rounded off the corners just to make it look better aesthetically, even though you're never gonna see it again. So go mock them up, see how they look, and go from there. Alright, this is how it's gonna look. As you can see, it fits pretty good. good. I can live with that. Now, the only thing I got to do is measure my holes out. And once I measure those, I'm going to pre-drill my template here. Pre-drill my template so that it'll mount straight to the truck itself. Then I'm going to mount my speaker to the template. Looks pretty good. Got my holes drilled up. The holes were 7 5/8 across and 5 1/8 down, and got both of those drilled up. Let's go out here, see if it works. All right, mocked it up, everything went fine. What I did find is once I put this plate on, I put the door panel back on, and it just fit a little snug. So what I'm gonna do is, while I had it mounted up, I marked off these edges, and this is just where I'm gonna cut off the excess trim, just to kind of help that door panel fit a little bit better. And you may have to do the same thing. Like I said, that door comes pretty padded up pretty good with sound deadening material, foam, or whatever your door may have on it. So you may have to adjust your trim piece or adjust your adapter ring accordingly. So let me go ahead and get that trimmed up, and we'll go from there. Another thing that I found, you can use whatever screws you want for mounting. I'm using the stock screws that came from the stock 5x7 speaker, and they fit up nicely. The hole I used to drill that was a 3/16. I wobbled it out just a little bit, just so I can have some, some clearance on that hole. So that's why it looks a little bigger. And I pre-drilled my screw holes. That's going to be for my speaker. Only thing I did is sit the speaker inside of there, and I just traced out the circles and holes and pre-drilled them out, so that way I won't have to worry about this MDF board splitting or anything like that. It's pretty notorious about that if you don't pre-drill your holes. So let me get these ends cut off, and we'll get it going. On the front speakers, I'm not going to be able to use my wire harness because the wires have to go through a crossover, and the crossover has bare ends on it, which look like this. So what I'm going to have to do is pretty much tap into the original harness, which you've seen I did here, which I'll just peel back the wire to expose it. And once the wire exposed, I'm going to solder them in and retape everything. I left this hooked up so you can see which wire is which. So with them flat like that, you can see that the black wire is going to the white wire, and the black wire is the negative. So on this harness, this white with green stripe wire is the negative, and this green with brown stripe is the positive. And so I'm just gonna solder my connections and tap right into the harness that way, then retape everything, and then I'm just gonna tuck it back in. Got my connections all soldered up. Everything is looking good. Now I'm just gonna tape these up and be ready to go. This is the crossover box, and this is where it has the ends for the speakers to go to, one to the woofer and the other to the tweeter. I'm just gonna mount this box, inside the door. About here, with some Velcro, some heavy duty strength Velcro. I can recommend getting the heaviest duty you can find, in which this Velcro is pretty much all plastic. It does not have that little felt end, little felt side. Both sides are plastic, so they lock in pretty strong. Stuff is pretty stout. I believe I got it from Home Depot, but you may be able to find it at Walmart or any other automotive store. This is the heavy duty Velcro that I'm using to mount up my crossover. And like I was telling you, everything is plastic. Both sides are plastic. They look the exact same. And there's a little example on how it connects. Like I say, super tight connection. Hold up to 10 pounds, whereas this thing only weighs a few ounces, but I don't ever want it to come off, so that's why I'm going to this extreme. I could glue it, but I don't want the possibility of not being able to come off, so I still have the ability to remove it if desired, with pretty much keeping it intact by using this Velcro versus using some heavy duty glue or something of that nature. So get this cut up, get it mounted. Let me show you my wires so far. Alright, got everything all wired, tucked down through there. Another thing you want to do once you get your wires done is to hook up your window connector, let your window switch rather, and let your window up and down to make sure your wires are not going to interfere with your operation of your window. I'm going to do that here shortly, and if that is the case, I'm going to find a way to mount them somewhere also, by i.e. using zip tie or something of that nature, which I'm probably going to do that anyway. I'm not going to leave them just hanging loose like that. To me, that's just not an accident waiting to happen, but just problems waiting to happen with loose wires hanging around in a moving vehicle that's bouncing around down the road. So I'm going to find some kind of way to mount those up, even if I have to zip tie them to something or glue those wires to the inside of this door panel on the inside back here, which there's a few holes back there. I may be able to just either drill a hole or use one of these holes that's available and just zip tie them to there, or you could drill a hole to the bottom of this and zip tie them to there, which would probably be my better option. And that's probably what I'm going to do, is drill a hole through this plastic and zip tie my wires up tight to the bottom of this plastic. That way I know they'll be out of the way. And as you can see, I have my tweeter wire ran up, and there is already an existing hole for some wires that's coming through already for the door switch and lock switch, and my tweeter is going to be right here in this location, so should work out perfect. This is the wire that's going to go to the woofer, or the mid-range woofer, let me say that, and it's going to hook up right in here as so. Good thing the crossover is already pre-wired and already has the pre-connect terminals on there, so that's pretty good. I don't have to worry about doing that. So all in all, everything's coming together fairly well. So let me get back to it. All right, let's look at our location on where we wanted to mount that tweeter. As I stated before, going to mount right in here, and so on the back side of there, it's going to be this flat spot right in here. So what I'm going to do is, this is my tweeter cover, or I guess that's what you would call it. That's the little lip on it, so I don't want my hole to be bigger than the lip. So what I'm going to do is find the flattest spot I can there, and I'm going to trace the inside of that circle, and that's going to give me the diameter of my hole for my tweeter. This is a very, I guess you say, tedious cut that you're going to need to make. You don't want to go too big. If you go too small, that's always okay. You can always take off more than you need, but definitely this is one of those occasions where you want to measure twice and cut once. Because once you cut it, if you cut too big, that's pretty much it. You can probably find some stuff to make do, but for the most part, you want to try to cut that hole as smooth and as straight of a circle, you know, if that makes any sense, straight circle, but you know, as smooth of a cut as you can. I'm going to use my Dremel tool, so it may look a little jagged, but as long as it's this exact size, the lip is going to cover up the jaggedness of the hole. So let me get my marker and mark everything out, and I'll show you what it looks like. And there's my hole, or there's my drawing of my hole. So I'll go ahead and get this cut out and go ahead and mark my tweeter up. And here's my hole. There you have it. Again, I cannot stress the importance of measuring your hole correctly, cutting correctly. If this is something you don't think you're going to be able to do, please take it to your local, I guess, automotive shop or somebody, a custom shop that does speaker installation or custom music or, you know, anything of that nature. They should be able to handle that no problem, because once you cut this hole, it is there. Outside of getting a whole new panel for your vehicle, there's really no way to fix that hole. So another thing I'm probably going to do is I'm going to get me some glue, put me a little small bead right at the base of that, so that way I don't have to ever worry about that moving or turning or popping out at any time. Because if by chance my clearance is off, what's going to happen is that that tweeter is going to want to push out. If it pushes out, it's going to create a little gap. I don't want to have that gap. I'd rather the whole panel itself push out than the tweeter push out. So that's why I'm going to glue it in, so that way if it's glued in nice and tight, the whole panel will push out rather than the tweeter pushing out. So that's what I'm going to do. You can do whatever you need to do on your end, but that's the way I'm going to handle it. Alright, I let this dry overnight. See what we got here. Nice and tight. See what the back looks like. And there you have it. That's the glue I use. It looks wet, but it's not. It actually dries pretty stout. I could still use it. I don't think that's it. Yeah. So it dries pretty stout. The tweeter itself goes on the inside and locks in instead of on the outside here, so it's gonna fit in there fairly well. So let's go ahead and get everything mounted up and see what she looks like. And here's what it's looked like all together. Nice and sturdy. I had to pre-drill a couple of these holes that went into the plastic molding of the box behind here. So once you pre-drill them, with a hole smaller than your screw is going to be there. They go in pretty nice and tight. So there it is, and I use the exposed hole for my tweeter here. And so let me put the door on and let's see what we look like here. Put the door panel on rather. And there you have it. As you can see, able to get that tweeter right about midways as usual, so that's always a plus. Or the cone, I'm sorry, of the woofer is about midways. That's what it looks like. Nice, flush, professionally installed. Everything went back on just as it should. Everything went back into place. Tweeter, like I said, is directional, so you can aim it to where you need it at. And we're probably going to pretty much have it aimed this way because the door is going to be closed, and aim it back towards the passenger. So follow these steps and do your other door. I'm going to get started on my other door also. I already made the bracket for the other side. There's no need to show you all that all over again. It's basically the same exact process. Only thing may be a little different is placement of the tweeter. May have to go a little lower, a little higher, just depending on what that door calls for, being that it does have that mirror adjustment up on that top pillar up here on the driver's side, as shown earlier in the video. But it's going to pretty much be in the same spot. Check out my other video where I installed the rear speakers, which is going to be video number 1 on this. The front speakers are going to be video number 2, and it shows you a breakdown of the disassembly of the rear door panel, and making some custom speaker adapter for the rear speakers themselves. Fairly common tools needed: screwdriver, star set for your bits. Let me see what number that is. That is a T20, and I think I've stated all this stuff in video number 1. Few also drill bits of various sizes. But I mean, if you work on this kind of stuff or you use tools daily, you'll be able to figure this out. If you're not that tool savvy or good with your hands, I would recommend taking it to somebody who does know, because like I said before, I don't know about your vehicle, but this is my personal truck, and it was over 50 grand. So if you don't want to mess up your personal vehicle, take it to somebody who definitely knows what they're doing, because like I said, some of the stuff that's done is kind of irreversible, like this hole. Once you drill that hole, that's it. Or once you cut out that hole, that's it. So if you don't get it right on the first pop, then you're kind of screwed there for a second. I mean, we can probably put some trim rings or some around the outside to make it look aesthetically better, but for the most part, that's a loss. So hope you enjoyed the video. As usual, like and subscribe. More videos to come. And again, 2006 Ford Expedition front speaker install, 5x7 speaker to a 6.5 component set for this front set. Thank you.